is Chris Agnello, the host of No Holding Back. Today we got a special episode covering the drama surrounding the NHL lottery draft. With that being said, I'm just gonna get a little bit into it right now. So what happened was like as usual, NHL lottery draft for the top 10 teams. In this case, because of the corona, it was the top 8 teams. So the 8 teams that didn't make the playoffs. Reason why I'm saying 8 and not 7 is because this year, somehow, with a 2.5 chance at obtaining the first overall pick, Team E, which would be any team participating in the play-in round, was able to sneak its way through and give a I don't know how to even explain it. Like when is this actually gonna happen? Like ever in like your lifetime, no one would have ever thought. Like they were able to give them a chance to anybody in the play-in round to acquire Alexis Lafrenière at number 1. He's the clear pick that's gonna get picked as the NHL draft progresses on. Everyone knows he's the number 1 guy this year. Where is he going to exactly? We don't know yet, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Um, Today we got Matthew Salzani, aka Data782. That's his YouTube name. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to prospects. He has done a lot of GM walkthroughs on his YouTube channel. And Matthew Salzani, the floor is all yours, man.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me. Yeah, NHL franchise modes on YouTube, Data782. I do franchise modes on NHL 20, so I've seen a lot of these prospects and how how they develop in franchise modes over there. I do FIFA and other gaming as well, just very managerial type of things, and very into these prospects. So I feel like I'm a distant cousin of these guys. I know so much about them, so I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to get drafted and discussing that with you today.
So before we get into the top 10 picks, I want to actually get your thoughts about what exactly you were feeling once you saw that a number 1 prospect will not be going to a non-contending team this year.
Well, it's definitely a blow for any one of those 7 or 8 teams for sure. Those are the worst ones, especially Detroit. You really got to feel for them, not only for moving from 1 to 4 in this draft, but for having such bad lottery luck in so many years, going down 1 spot, 2 spots. This year they're going down 3 spots. So they're still getting a great prospect, but they've had such bad luck. You really got to feel for them. And for all the other teams as well, they are not doing very well either. We look at a team like LA or Anaheim; they could have really used him as well. So the team that's going to get him is going to be in a very unique situation where they are just on the precipice of being a playoff contender. For example, like a team like Vancouver, or a team that really could make the playoffs, and now they're going to get that real big boost in getting a potential franchise winger.
So in a weird way, if you really think about it, it's as if like getting your hands on like the cheapest superstar at the free agency. If you really think about it, like he's gonna be worth nothing. He's literally gonna be given to you, and he will have no say on whether or not if he wants to play with you or not.
Well, yeah, you could say that, unless he pulls an Eric Lindros and wants to hold out. But I don't see Alexis Lafreniere doing that. If I'm Lafreniere, I'm much happier to be going to a team like Vancouver, like I said, for example, or even a team like Calgary, instead of going to a team like Detroit. Unless I really had it set in my mind that I want to be the savior, the messiah of the Red Wings or something, or the Senators.
And he's not gonna have to really worry about like trying to carry the team on his back.
Exactly. It's gonna be the first time in a long time that the first overall pick is not going to a team that desperately needs him to carry them. There have been many teams that have moved up in the draft, like for example Edmonton moving to number 1 over Buffalo. They still desperately needed McDavid. It didn't change much. We haven't seen any moving up like this since Philadelphia moved up to number 2 and drafted Nolan Patrick. And as you can see, Nolan Patrick, because there are such good players on Philadelphia like Sean Couturier and Claude Giroux, he is still yet to really make at his debut, even though it's definitely due to a lot of injuries. It's just that it's so log jammed in Philadelphia. So definitely, like you said, Lafreniere, he's going to have that comfort of not having to carry a team, as well as getting to get good opportunities with established players.
And this might be a controversial question, but do you think this might hurt him as a player, or he's better off?
In a way, yes, it could hurt him when you look at contractually and things like that. If he were to go to Detroit, for example, once his contract is up, his entry level deal, guys like Abdelkader and Eriksson, those contracts will be over. They will have a lot of salary cap to fill to hit the cap floor, and not many people to give it to. You give $8-9 million to Dylan Larkin. You give a bunch of money to Jared McIsaac or whoever else, but that would leave lots and lots of money for Alexis Lafreniere. But if he were to go to a team like we were saying, Vancouver, for example, they have to pay Pedersen, they have to pay Besser, they have to pay Hughes, they have to pay Miller, JT Miller. So it's gonna hurt him a bit in that way.
And speaking about the first overall draft, who's your pick on winning the first overall draft this year?
Well, it's definitely random because it's 1 in 8. So my guess is as good as yours when it comes to those 8 teams. If it goes to if we don't play the play-in and it's all canceled due to COVID, then I would definitely think that Montreal has the best odds. But that's just wishful thinking because we've seen the best odds teams not win before, and a great example of that is Detroit. So it's my guess is as good as yours for who will get the first overall pick.
So you haven't established a peer like number one pick to actually obtain him.
If anyone has a better chance, it's Montreal. But aside from Montreal, there's really no clear cut front runner.
Okay, for me, actually, I think it's an okay pick. People are not going to be too bummed out about this team obtaining his services. And for me, I would say it's the Minnesota Wild. You know, they have an aging core. Eric Stahl, Zach Parise, always injured. Ryan Suter, Marcus Foligno, Matt Zuccarello. You know, and you really have Kevin Fiala right now, Greenway, Galchenyuk. Those are not really like elite or franchise players at the moment, even though Fiala has been having a career year this year. I just feel that they're missing a lot, in acquiring like Donato and Hartman. They're really like underachieving at the moment. Mikko Koivu, maybe one more year and then he's done. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel like they really, really, really would love his services. And the Minnesota Wild's not necessarily a good team or a bad team. I think they're just decent. They're in the middle, and they don't know if they should either contend or if they're just going to decrease over time.
Oh yeah, if we're the Minnesota Wild are the definition of a mid-table team, and if we're talking about which team needs Lafreniere the most, then Minnesota is definitely a top 3 team. On their wings, they have I don't think they have any winger prospects aside from Kirill Kaprizov, the KHLer, and they would be starving for a guy like Lafreniere. But when it comes to the odds of who I think will get it, it's totally random. But if you're asking who would love and benefit the most, then I think Minnesota is the team. Yeah.
And speaking about Alexis, I want to know, like, I want your take on him. Like, what can he offer a team like Minnesota?
Oh man, Alexis Lafreniere is pretty similar to Jonathan Huberdeau in the way that he skates, the way that he passes, the way that he plays the game. He had 112 points in 52 games, which is actually the same as Claude Giroux. That's the same point total that Giroux got in his season in the QMJHL. And Giroux played more games even. When you're looking at comparable seasons, I believe that he and Jonathan Drouin had very comparable QMJHL seasons, looking at point per game, as Lafreniere scored 2.15 points per game and Drouin was around 2.14 points per game. And if you look at that comparatively to Sidney Crosby, he had 2.28 points per game in the QMJHL. So he's a very good prospect, to say the least. He's going to be a first line winger in the NHL. The only other players to have 2 or more points per game in the QMJHL in the last 15 years are Anthony Mantha, Connor Garland, Alex Radulov, and this guy Laschek, who was a fifth-round pick by the Lightning, who never panned out. So Lafreniere is going to be amazing for any team that gets him. He drives the offense, he scores, he passes, just like Jonathan Huberdeau. And a team like Minnesota would absolutely love to have him, that's for sure.
Well, someone's clearly been doing their homework, obviously.
Of course, always.
Really, in my opinion, I could see him as a top winger in the NHL. Hopefully, franchise. I really hope that, even if he ends up in Montreal, there's always the stigma that Montreal never knows how to develop a prospect properly
Mm-hmm.
unless they acquire him already, like, you know, basically established, as they would say. So I mean, let's see if he goes to Montreal. I just really hope the best for him. I really hope the fan base doesn't really get into his head, and he could actually uh, withstand the pressure that comes with playing in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward from Alexis, number two. So obviously we already know who's going to be picking at number two, the Los Angeles Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Based on their needs, who do you think would be their the second overall pick and their first pick in this draft?
So here's the thing: the LA Kings have good center depth, especially when you look at guys like Alex Turcotte, Gabe Vilardi. Gabe Vilardi, by the way, he was definitely the steal of the 2017 draft. So the Kings are very, very strong at center. That being said, I still don't think that you can pass up Quinton Byfield here. And a lot of people will argue for Tim Stützle at number two, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tim Stützle goes at number two. But I really think that Quinton Byfield is the guy to go right now. He is a big boy, two-way forward, very reminiscent of Anze Kopitar, who the LA Kings would need to replace. He plays very similarly and even looks very similar in his body type to Evgeny Malkin. He's like a mix of a power forward, two-way forward, 6'4". He has the mix of the size plus the reach plus the hands. He is very smart, and he's going to be a first-line center, just like Evgeny Malkin could be if he weren't on the Penguins. And although Tim Stützle is amazing, as we'll talk about after, I really think that the Kings will take Byfield here.
And I'm actually in agreement with you because you have an aging Anze Kopitar as well,
Right.
who can really fill in that spot. Maybe Vilardi,
Mm-hmm.
but at that point we don't know. You already know that Byfield's already established. The other center depth that they have as prospects, I could see them being top six centers, forwards. But the problem is
for
that,
sure.
yeah, but Byfield is already that established presence. He could easily slot into the top six. He could actually be working under Anze Kopitar,
Mm-hmm.
and Kopitar could work as that mentor figure as well, heading into LA.
There's a lot of gambling that goes into prospect development. Like, if the Kings want to roll the dice with guys like Anderson Dolan or Akil Thomas, they wouldn't be in a bad place. But if you can get a guarantee slam dunk like Quinton Byfield, I think you go for it.
Okay, perfect. So at number three now, the Ottawa Senators.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your pick?
I think the Senators will look to the sky, they'll get on their knees, and they'll pray, and they'll thank God because Tim Stützle is going to be an amazing pick at number three. He could be a number one if it was a different draft, and he could definitely be a number two. He's a tight number two even right now. And it's a win-win for the Senators because if they take Stützle at three, whoever goes at four, they still have an amazing pick at five. So even if they didn't take Stützle, even if Stützle wasn't there and they got Byfield, they're winning all around no matter what. So Tim Stützle, he is playing in the SHL. He is playing in Sweden. The DEL in Germany. My apologies. Where it's a league where he's playing with men, right? So to put up 34 points in 41 games is pretty crazy. Like, it's tough to compare seasons because there's not a lot of rookies that come out of the Dell. But for example, if you were to look at someone like Austin Matthews, who played in the NLA in the Swiss League, playing with men in 36 games, Austin Matthews got 46 points. In two less games, Stützle puts up, in 5 more games, he puts 2 less points, Tim Stützle. So to still get numbers like that in a men's league is pretty crazy and unheard of, to be honest. He has amazing speed, amazing hands, he's smart, and you know what? He's aggravating. he'll score a goal and he'll make sure you know it. Like, he has that swagger, and people are going to really hate when he's speeding down the wing. And he's a bit of a hybrid between Huberdeau in his ability to pass, but he's also like Matthew Barzal in his speed. So the question comes down to, will he play center or left wing? I think either way, the Senators are happy to have him.
Yeah, just Stutzel in general, to be honest. Fitting in on a line with Brady Tkachuk, Colin White, that first line would be lethal in the NHL in the upcoming years. Not only that, if I'm not mistaken, he is the fastest player available in this draft. He's known as a speedster at 6'1", which is actually not that common because usually people under 6 feet are usually like the fastest. Smaller the faster, as they say.
Right.
But in this case, it's not. Where do you think he fits in on the Ottawa Senators lineup? I know I have him on the first line heading into the season, but do you think he would make the jump right away, or do you think he has a stint in the AHL?
No, I think he definitely makes the jump. Now, the thing is, do you rush him to that first line? I'm not sure. The first line is definitely Brady Tkachuk, Colin White, and if maybe like Anthony Duclair, right? Tim Stützle could fit in there. It depends a lot on the mentality of the organization. If they're more patient, if they're more aggressive. Tim Stützle could play first line for sure, but do you want a guy like him playing 20 plus minutes a night? To be honest, I think the answer is yes. Some people think the answer is no, but he has proven himself to be able to play big minutes with big boys. And I think he could definitely play first line with Tkachuk and White. Or if he goes center, he could be centering between Tkachuk and Duclair. Either way, it's a solid first line.
I'm totally in agreement with you. I just want to move away from that and head to Detroit, the biggest upset in this draft, according to the lottery. Honestly, I think in this case, we already named 3 of the best forwards available. Looking back at Detroit's record and history, they've had one of the best defensemen in history, Lindstrom. And ever since he's retired, I felt that, they've had a hard time replacing him. So, would you agree if I would say that Jamie Draisaitl, sorry, not Draisaitl. I always get that name mistaken. Always mixed up. Drysdale, my bad. So Jamie Drysdale would be their pick. Are you in agreement with that?
Well, I agree that he's the pick, but I think the heir to Nicholas Lindstrom is Moritz Seider. I think that Jamie Drysdale is going to be a whole new thing in Detroit. They have not had a player control the game from the back end. They've always had Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg, guys like that who are magical up front. They are going to start changing their style when they get Jamie Drysdale, and I'll just get into it right now. Jamie Drysdale at number 4. The wings have Zadina, they have Veleno, they have Rasmussen, they have good forwards in the future. Their deep prospects are Moritz Seider and Jared McIsaac, like I said, but Moritz Seider is a two-way heir to Nicholas Lindstrom. He's going to be amazing. But when it comes to points, when it comes to pushing the power play, when it comes to that guy that the offense is going to run through, it's not going to be Dennis Chalowski. And Mike Green's about to retire. It has to be Jamie Drysdale. Mike Green, they're going to wheel him out on a stretcher with $6 million of money bags on his hospital bed.
Mike Green actually got traded to Edmonton.
What?
Yeah, during the NHL trade center. Not trade center. My God, trade deadline. My bad.
Wow, yeah. That's what happens when hockey ends.
And then Sam Gagner went the other way, part of that deal.
That's fair. Now I remember. But man, it's hard to remember things like that. I don't even know if he played many games with Edmonton before the COVID hit.
Mike Green is writing a death note to your house right now. Did you just say I'm retiring? I have a chance at the beeping cup.
No, he's done. I love Mike Green, but he's not what he used to be on the Capitals. But anyways, Jamie Drysdale, if he's on the board in any other draft, he would be probably number 3, I think. But if he's on the board, which I think he will be, they need to thank the hockey gods and take him. Now, it's very fitting that he would get drafted at number 4. That's the same position as Cale Makar went, and they are very similar players. They control the offense from the blue line. They have great skating, puck handling ability, and Jamie Drysdale putting up 9 goals, 38 assists. 47 points in 49 games, close to a point per game, very similar to other offensive defensemen like Tony DeAngelo in the OHL. But like I said, it's not obviously all about the points. It's the ability to control the game, and not many defensemen have that. He's very hard to beat, and he's always moving his feet. If it rhymes, it's true. Hard to beat, moving the feet. And this ability, there you go. And this ability to take chances would be huge for Detroit, the team that needs to take chances on the ice.
Especially with a team that already has enough depth in the offense. I think now it's time to focus on the defense and the back end, and, obviously get that number one goalie that they've been lacking since Osgood, in my opinion, because Howard, an inconsistent mess since the beginning. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I'm totally in agreement with that pick. And moving forward to number 5 now. So back to Ottawa, which was originally San Jose's pick that was part of the Erik Karlsson deal. So that may have backfired now after Erik Karlsson's injury plagued season. And now Ottawa getting a chance to draft 5th overall in a very, very deep draft this year. This might stink for San Jose, especially that they finished in the bottom of the list this year.
Well, just very quickly before I say that, Mike Green, 2 games with Edmonton Oilers, -2. So you can't blame me for forgetting that he was on the Oilers. That sounds pretty forgettable to me. All right, Ottawa number 5. Now, this is where things start to be interchangeable. This guy can go here, but if they like that, then he goes. This is where things start to change up. From 1 to 4, I think it's pretty solid, but number 5 is where guys start to change around. So I think that at number 5, the Ottawa Senators will take Marco Rossi. I believe that Tim Stützle is going to be built for the wing. They're going to keep him on the wing, and they could have a first line of Tkachuk, Rossi, and Stützle moving forward. Now, if Ottawa took Stützle number 3, and they took Rossi number 5, and Rossi is in his development, I think I see him going for another year in the minors, and well, not the minors, the juniors. He put up 39 goals, 81 assists, 120 points in 56 games. And this is what I'm going to come back and listen to when the draft in 10 years when everything goes down, because I think that Marco Rossi is going to be the steal of this draft. He is very undervalued. He is only 5'9". He plays so much bigger. He has very strong legs, which means that he's fast and hard to knock off the puck for a guy who's 5'9". I could see Marco Rossi being a future Selke nominee, and maybe even the shortest ever Selke nominee. He would be a no doubt number 1 center for a starving Ottawa team offensively, and a team that looks like Tkachuk, Chabot, Stützle, Rossi, Brandstrom would be very, very scary. I see Rossi being very similar to Claude Giroux, and the Senators would be very happy to take him.
And here's the thing, going back to the height thing, okay? This is one of the smallest drafts when it comes to height, actually.
NHL's changing, yeah.
Yeah, and back in the day, a guy like Marco Rossi would be freaking falling all the way down in this list at 5'9". People would rather a guy like at 6 feet, 5'11".
Definitely
someone taller, someone more meatier. That was the old NHL.
Oh yeah, in the old NHL, a guy like Anton Lundell, who is projected to go maybe 11 or 12, he'd be a top 5 pick for his big 2-way ability. But the NHL is changing fast.
And another thing, actually referring back to height, is Cole Caulfield that slid all the way down to 15 last year for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yep.
So, that little like trend, it carries on here and there. People were very hesitant on him too. The Canadians were able to snatch up a gold mine in him. Hopefully he pans out. He was doing amazing in the NCAA as well. He could carry his own weight.
Definitely. The NHL, they're still lacking behind a bit when you see Caulfield slipping, but the NHL is starting to change when you see guys like DeBrincat having so much success, and that's why I see Marco Rossi staying within the top 5.
And heading to number 6, actually, now, the Anaheim Ducks. Who do you have for that pick?
Now, I love the Anaheim Ducks. I'm a Canadiens fan, but I love the Anaheim Ducks. I did a whole franchise mode with them on my YouTube channel where I went all the way to the year 2044. I know this team and its prospects inside and out. And that being said, I think that this suggestion is the most valid one because it comes down to organizational needs. If I am Bob Murray, I am taking Lucas Raymond.
Yes.
I have good center depth. I have Zegras. I have Steele. I have Lundstrom. Any other draft, as I've been saying a lot, Raymond is between number 3 and number 5. But I see him dropping to number 6. He plays in the SHL, the Swedish Hockey League. He put up 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points in 33 games. Now, mind you, that's not just because he's playing with big boys. It's because he's not getting a lot of ice time. Give him the ice time that the guys in the OHL get, and he would be tearing it up. Still very solid for 10 points in 33 games. He is a playmaking winger who would look great next to a guy like Zegras who shoots the puck. He's pretty good two-way as well. If a team were to reach from 1 to 5, well, not 1, maybe 2 to 5, if there was a team that reached for anyone, it would be for Lucas Raymond. In lower divisions of Sweden, he scored 14 points in 9 games. He scored 48 points in 37 games. I don't think he would be NHL ready right out of the gate, one more year in the SHL, or maybe even the AHL. But I've read a few different comparisons. I've seen Braden Point, but personally, I think that Lucas Raymond is a future Mitch Marner.
Wow, that's a heavy statement right there.
Big statements.
And, honestly, imagine just thinking about this right now. It makes me shiver. Okay, imagine a dynamic duo between Raymond and Ricard Raquel.
Put Raquel, and even bring up the prospects too. Raquel, Comtois, and Raquel's not much of a center, but he can play center. Put Raquel at center. Put Raymond on his right, put Comtois on his left, put Sam Steele as the second line center, or even the third line center. Maybe Zegras is the second line center. They just need more wing help. They need more help on the wings.
It's honestly so unfortunate that, like, by the time that this team is a powerhouse, Ryan Getzlaf will probably be retired, and we'll be able to see that,
Go check out my franchise mode, and you'll see if I won a Stanley Cup with Ryan Getzlaf or not.
Hint, hint.
I love Getzlaf, but they have such a good core. A guy, John Gibson deserves better, and I think that Anaheim's going to start giving him better.
Yeah, this is a team that's been suffering for 2 years now. Traded away a lot of their older players. Ryan Kessler, injury prone. Unfortunate. Patrick Eves as well.
Oh, yeah.
Child to the beard.
David Baquez, Patrick Eves, Ryan Kessler. It's not 2007 anymore. Like, I love those guys. They're great players, but they're not going to be anything for Anaheim's future. They're going to be 5th-round trade deadline picks. Trades.
Or just clearly bought out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately.
Yeah. And heading towards the New Jersey Devils on number 7. We have still a lot of good picks available. And what's your pick for New Jersey Devils?
New Jersey Devils at number 7. Now, the choice continues to be difficult due to organizational needs. Now, there is an argument for Cole Perfetti going at number 5 before Marco Rossi. But if Cole Perfetti does not go at 5, he's not going to go at 6, and he's not going to go at 7, because Anaheim and New Jersey don't need centers. The Devils have Hughes, they have Hischier, they have Nolan Foote, they have Nick Merkley on the wings, they have Ty Smith on defense. Their prospect pool is decently well-rounded. That being said, this is not my pick, but this is the earliest that I could see Yaroslav Askarov, the goaltender, getting drafted. I don't think he'll go here. I'm going to tell you my pick in a minute, but if he were to go early, this would be the pick where he goes, because the Devils are rolling the dice kind of with Mackenzie Blackwood. They have a good minor league starter with Gilles Sen, and I don't know. They've been a bit wish-wash on is Mackenzie Blackwood our starter or not. So anyways, all that being said, I see the Devils taking Alexander Holtz at number 7, almost exclusively because they can't pass up on him and his goal-scoring ability. A guy like Jake Sanderson could also get drafted here. Like I said, Holtz is just too good. An SHL player, just like Raymond, he had 9 goals, 7 assists, 16 points through 35 games. He is a sniper. He is a shooter. He's not a playmaker. But because he's a sniper who isn't as fast and isn't as strong defensively as Lucas Raymond, that's what ranks him lower. But he's still a pure sniper who the Devils would love to have, as they're certainly lacking in goal-scoring ability. Guys like Blake Coleman, and who's gone, and Kyle Palmieri, they can't do it forever. Raymond and Holtz also will be a great duo for Sweden in the future, as we've already seen in the World Juniors. Stylistically, I see him being similar to a less developed Patrick Laine. I don't think his goal-scoring upside is as high, but stylistically, I see him being the same way. And he'll be a consistent 30-plus goal scorer on the first line. And as well, going back to Cole Perfetti, who knows? Maybe the GM of the Devils goes to Cole Perfetti and says, hey, we want you to play on the left wing. And he says, okay. If that's the case, they draft him for the left wing, and they play him with Jack Hughes and Nikita Gusev. Who knows? But I really think Cole Perfetti is a center, and I don't think that New Jersey is going to take him. I think it's Alexander Holtz.
So you think they're going to choose need over the best player available?
I think so. Like as I'll explain later on, sometimes you can draft someone with the hope that they will replace your previous prospect that you were grooming for that spot. But Cole Perfetti would not be good enough to push Nico Hischier out of the second line role, I don't think. And Cole Perfetti is not a third line center. He's a first, second, top 6 lock. And so unless he moves to the wing, it wouldn't make sense for him to go to New Jersey. I think Alex Holtz, who's a great sniper.
So rather than pulling a Malkin and Crosby dynamic, so pushing each other, to their best, you think building around Hischier is the way to go?
Well, I think Jack Hughes already does that. Jack Hughes already pushes Nico Hischier, and I don't think adding a third center who could having 3 potential first line centers is good for anyone. I think it's better to have well-rounded wings than just great down the middle and guys like Michael McLeod or guys from the Binningham Devils getting called up to play on the wings.
Yeah, and not only that, but eventually they would have to trade one of those 3 guys,
Right, exactly. So you could draft one of them and trade whoever, but I think it would make sense to take Holtz in this position because he's already proven himself in a league with men. He's a good scorer. They need goals. They already have 2 good young centers, and there you go.
Well, it's always possible to draft Perfetti because you might have the best value available and get something more established on the wings.
You could. That's like I said. You have to talk to him, and you say, "Are you comfortable playing the wing?" Yes. Bang. I'm taking you. No questions asked. Cole Perfetti, I rank him higher than Alex Holtz. He would definitely go. But I really Cole Perfetti is more of a center than Marco Rossi. Even Cole Perfetti is definitely going to be a center. I don't see him being on the wing unless he really gets convinced.
Honestly, going back and forth and just thinking about it, maybe I feel like going back and taking back what I said because I'm totally in agreement with you. Honestly, sometimes need is more important than the best player available.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is that it's hurt a lot of teams as well in the past.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's backfired a lot too.
It has.
Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, I just want to poke fun at them. They're our team. Obviously, there's been a lot of hiccups or maybe bigger things, but we have Bergevino, and he's going to carry us.
Bergevino, do not doubt Bergevino. I've been saying this since his first day in office. Everyone's been outside City Hall picketing and throwing tomatoes. I've been kissing his feet and worshiping him. Maybe I wouldn't go that far. But I've been an advocate for him, and I think he's doing a good job as general manager.
So people, do not hate on him. This is his opinion. And if you don't like him for what he's saying, well, mind your own business. Because honestly, everyone has the right of their own opinion. And I'm in the middle with Bergevin. I love him, but there's been some debatable things that he's done in the past. But overall, he's been doing a very good job. It's very stressful to be a Montreal Canadiens GM, especially in this time and age with social media. So yeah, moving forward.
Oh yeah. We could have a whole podcast about this. He's not. You can't say anybody's perfect, but I think that he is a good NHL GM period.
Perfect. So moving forward to the Buffalo Sabres at
Mm.
number 8. Who do you have going to Buffalo?
Knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on a sweater already. Cole Perfetti has to go at number 8. I don't know how he slides this far. It's such a jam-packed talent draft, but this is where he has to go. Now, at a glance, Buffalo has good center depth. Eichel's locked in at number 1 for another decade plus. They have Casey Middlestat. They have Dylan Cousins developing the pipeline. It wouldn't make much sense to draft him. However, you got to look a bit deeper. Casey Middlestat has not been developing super well in the smallish sample size that we've seen, and Dylan Cousins is actually turning into a winger. So that being said, I think that the Sabres have to take Cole Perfetti here. Now, like I was saying earlier, the Devils would not trade Nico Hischier to make room for Cole Perfetti, I don't think. But the Sabres would trade Casey Middlestat to make room for Cole Perfetti. So I think that makes more sense for them. So while the Ducks or the Senators or also whatever could take Perfetti, that would change everything and everyone would rank down. But I think this is what makes the most sense. Now, Cole Perfetti is a lock for the number 2 center on Buffalo. He is a monster. He went 37 goals, 74 assists, 111 points in 61 games in the OHL. He is every coach's dreams. He's disciplined. He has the hands. He has the vision, the IQ, crazy IQ. He has the shot, the passing ability to make whoever he plays with better. Not quite the McDavid effect, but it's a very similar phenomenon. You could put a random guy on Cole Perfetti's line. He would draw all the attention to himself. He would somehow get the puck to that random guy, and then that guy would score while everyone else is confused. Now, it's tough to find a comparison that does not blow his potential out of proportion, like McDavid, like I was saying. But I could see Cole Perfetti being a guy like Nugent Hopkins with higher upside. You can say stuff like great hands about every guy in the top 10, but Cole Perfetti's hands are top 3, and his IQ is top 3, top 5 as well. So getting him at number 8 is a blessing for Buffalo.
And going back to what you said about Middlestat, what can
Mm-hmm.
Middlestat really fetch in the NHL?
It's difficult because in the NHL he's done absolutely nothing, but it's a crazy small sample size. So you have to look at his American League plays. With the Rochester Americans, he hasn't done anything really special either. He's really a project. He's one of those guys that you draft on NHL. He's like 55 overall. He's going to take 4 years to grow, all that kind of stuff. But what could a team get for Casey Middlestat? What could Buffalo get for Casey Middlestat? I think with the right team, it could definitely fetch a first round pick because he was drafted within the top 10, and it could get maybe a mid to late first round pick back. I don't think Buffalo would just want a first round pick straight up. They could get a top 9 forward. They could get a top 4 defenseman and maybe a later pick. And by top 9, I don't mean a guy who's playing first line minutes. Top 9, I mean a guy who's a second, third interchangeable. And by a top 4 defenseman, I mean someone who's playing maybe 12 to 14 minutes a night. So I think they could get some decent pieces for Casey Middlestat from a team that wants to take him. He's not a bust. He just hasn't been developing very well, and it's a very small sample size. So it's tough to project. I'm definitely not going to give up on Casey Middlestat just yet. Just that things aren't looking great, and if there's the option to take Cole Perfetti instead of Casey Middlestat, I'd rather put my eggs in Cole Perfetti's basket.
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you as well. Just going down from 1 all the way down to 10. There hasn't been one thing I've disagreed with you upon.
That's common sense. You can't disagree with common sense.
It is basically like you're factoring in what you need, who is the best player available at that position, at the spot that you're picking as well. It's so in depth, this draft. It's so deep. You can
It
really
really
pick
is.
anybody.
Mm-hmm. I've put in the hours. Don't listen to Craig Button. Come here. Come listen to me.
Honestly, I won't doubt that for a second, to be honest. But I appreciate the hard work, though.
Yeah, no problem.
So, moving forward now, number 9. Who's your 9th pick now? So now this marks the first time that it's going to be a play-in team besides the first overall pick.
So it's between Montreal and Chicago here. If in the situation where we've said where Minnesota gets the first overall pick, then it would be Montreal. If it were Chicago at number 9, I think they take Jake Sanderson. I'll talk about him after. But if it's Montreal at number 9, I think that they take Jack Quinn. Now, they don't need Askarov. They don't need a big two-way center like Lundell. They don't like a two-way D like Sanderson would be great. Like there's no like it wouldn't be a bad pick. But the Canadiens are desperate for wingers. Who do they have in their system beyond Caulfield and like maybe Ylönen? Who else do they have really on the wing? Like Lekkonen's not panning out super great. Anyways, Quinn is a goal-scoring machine who would be a fantastic threat at left wing in a Quinn, Kotkaniemi, Caulfield line, or even a Suzuki down the middle line. He had 52 goals in the OHL. 52 goals. Like I know we have big seasons with guys like Ovechkin scoring 50 goals and everything, but to score 52 goals in the OHL, that's Alex DeBrincat numbers, Jeff Skinner numbers. Tyler Toffoli scored the same amount of goals, 52. And even in less games, Jack Quinn did it because the season was shortened a little bit, just 62 games. 50 goals in a full season is great, but 52 in a shortened season is even better. And by the way, he plays on the same team as Marco Rossi, and he does not even play on the same team as Marco Rossi. So Marco Rossi had like 80-some assists, but not many, if any, besides maybe power play, were assists to Jack Quinn. Jack Quinn did it all on his own. He's 5'11". He skates very well. He has good hockey IQ, good hands, a lethal scorer who is one of the best shooters in the draft. He's not as big of a power forward threat as Mark Stone, but he's comparable to Mark Stone in the way that he plays, just a smaller body type, I'd say.
Look, honestly, if you're going to tell me I'm going to have a Mark Stone hybrid on a bunch of Canadians, I'll literally snatch it up in a heartbeat. I'll take anything I can get. Any scraps, feed me, please.
It would be really good. I think it would make most sense for the Canadiens to take Jack Quinn. Like I said, on the left, like they have Caulfield on the right wing. I think Ylönen is a right winger as well. They have nobody on the left wing, like Michael Pizzetta or something. That's not going to cut it.
No. That's an AHL caliber player. But after these years of literally drafting center after center after center, a need that was basically, always asked for since like the mid 90s, to be honest. How many more centers do you need?
Right.
Just give them time to develop. Center is the hardest position at forward to develop.
Yep.
You just got to give them time. When it comes to wingers, it's a lot more easier. Put the puck in the net or just pass the puck. You don't really have any defensive attributes to playing at the wing. And I think
you're definitely more responsible at center. You have more responsibilities defensively.
Exactly. And Jack Quinn, I think, would be a fantastic addition to Canadians. Would he be ready the first year? No, I don't think so. Second year, most definitely. He's a top 10 player in this draft. I could definitely see him playing for the Montreal Canadiens in 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're just going back to what you were saying. If the debate between the Hawks and the Canadiens. So let me make clear that let's say a team like the Minnesota Wild would win, going at first, getting Alexis Lafrenière. That means the rest from 9 and to, so on from the teams that were eliminated in the play-in round, it goes by stats. So Montreal Canadiens would automatically get the 9th pick. So Canadiens would have a very good chance at getting Jack Quinn. So that basically leaves us at number 10, the last pick for our top 10 list today, which is the Chicago Blackhawks.
Now I'll throw in a couple honorable mentions after, but number 10, if they're picking at number 9, they take Jake Sanderson. But either way, if they're picking at number 10, he should still be available, and that's going to be the pick, Jake Sanderson. He is a great two-way D. He would fit in nicely with Adam Boqvist and Nicolas Beaudet, who are both offensive defensemen. He had 7 goals, 22 assists, 29 points in 47 games with the U.S. under 18. He checks all the boxes for a good two-way defenseman. He has the size, decent size, good speed, good defensive awareness, and actually good offensive upside as well. Two-way D who can score are very valuable. There are many similar players that Sanderson is comparable to, because two-way D is not an uncommon thing to see. But I would think of Ryan Suter when I see Jake Sanderson. I could also, if the Hawks were thinking forward, it wouldn't be bad to take Anton Lundell, but I really don't think they would because they have guys like Kirby Dach and Dominic Kubalik to fill in for the aging core. I wouldn't see them taking Askarov either, because although Crawford and Subban are plugging the hole right now, they really need to find a long-term starter now, and that'll be trade or free agency because Askarov is still years away. If something did happen where they got pushed back due to another team winning, then other players getting picked, Sanderson getting picked, and Askarov fell to them, they'd be really happy, but it wouldn't fill their immediate needs. So all that to say, I definitely see Jake Sanderson going to the Chicago Blackhawks and learning great things from guys like Duncan Keith and even Brent Seabrook, even though he's been disgraced by the franchise.
Yeah, he's always scratched now. He hasn't played in a while. Duncan Keith aging, as great as he once was, winning 3 Stanley Cups. Same thing with Seabrook. The defensive core right now is literally very limited at the moment, Getting more offense to a very offensive team does not make any sense, and that's why I would pick Jake Sanderson as well,
Yeah, it makes the most sense organizationally because although they need a goalie now. They don't need a goalie 5 years from now. So, like I said, they'll plug their hole with someone in trades or free agency. Askarov, I don't see him going to Chicago.
Well, I mean, they did have Robin Leonard, but they decided to flip him to Vegas, which is actually very highly debated, actually. Why would the Las Vegas Knights acquire Leonard if they already have Marc-Andre Fleury? That's 2 number 1 goalies.
I really see that as just being a guarantee for them because Leonard will not resign in Vegas. He has proven himself. He's taken a lot of pay cuts. He has been a bit blackballed, maybe due to his own personal problems. But Leonard is a legit starter, and he wants to be paid like one. That's not going to be in Vegas because they are going to roll with Fleury for another couple of years. So he was not going to stay in Chicago either. Seemingly, since it looked like they were rolling with Corey Crawford. So if I was Chicago, I would have kept Robin Lehner. But if he goes back to Chicago, it would be through free agency. I don't see him staying in Vegas.
And one more thing I would like to add into that, adding, thinking that Fleury would get injured in the playoffs, and having Leonard is fantastic. It's a fantastic idea to have a very strong duo heading into the playoffs. Thing is, to be honest, wouldn't you rather stock up on your defense? Especially Vegas is not really known for their strong defensive core.
Right.
I just feel like that was just a trade, just to make a trade, just to get anybody, just to get a name, But
could be. Yeah. It goes back to maybe Chicago was desperate to move him since it seemed as though he was not going to be in their future plans.
Yeah,
and Vegas just said, "Sounds good. I'll take a good backup."
Anyways, moving up far from that, I want to talk about your honorable mentions. I know you have mentioned a couple, going back to previous teams, saying other options that they may have. If you want to go a little bit more down in the list, and
yeah, for sure.
Off the board.
Yeah, because at number 7, I said that would be the earliest that Askarov goes. But the thing is, I don't see anyone else taking him between the 2 New Jersey picks. So when New Jersey picks again at number 11, they will be happy to take Askarov there because they, like I said, they're kind of rolling the dice with Mackenzie Blackwood, but they need a future guy in the pipeline, and it's barren. So Yaroslav Askarov is that guy. He has received huge praise. He is being thought of as the possible goalie of his generation, and his being on the edge of the top 10 is solely due to the overflow of talent. He would be one of the highest drafted goalies of all time if it weren't for all this talent. He made 18 appearances in the KHL's minor league. He had a record of 12-3, 2.54 goals against, 920 save percentage. And it's tough because goalies are always difficult to project because the development is a much longer process. And during that process, many don't live up to their potential. Think of Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell was drafted at 11th in 2010, to the Dallas Stars, and he never panned out. So could Askarov at 11 also never pan out? I don't think so. He really has established himself already in the KHL's minor league, not like Campbell, who's played in an easier or softer league like in the juniors. So I believe that this draft position would be merited for him. And just like how Spencer Knight went at 13 to Florida last year, I see New Jersey looking for their future goalie early on. And it would be difficult to pinpoint a similar goalie, to be honest. I won't even try to compare Askarov to anybody, but think of him as a future elite starter.
Yeah, and I would like you to mention at least two more honorable mentions, if you don't mind.
Well, number 12 would definitely be Anton Lundell to the Wild. Like you said, they are desperate for some forwards. They can't roll with Mikko Koivu for much longer. And Anton Lundell is a big two-way guy, similar to like Martin Hanzal, who not better than Martin Hanzal for sure, but similar to how the Wild had Martin Hanzal on their team. He fills that type of role that they like to have. That's kind of like the organizational makeup of Minnesota, I guess I'd say. He put up good numbers with 10 goals, 18 assists, 28 points in 44 games in Liga in Finland. So he could probably make an NHL roster right away, to be honest. He doesn't have as high as potential as the other guys, but he could still make the NHL pretty quick. He is similar to like a Patrice Bergeron type of player in his defensive style. I think they're about the same size at 6'1". To be honest as well, just because Anton Lundell fits here, if something were to change with the Devils and they didn't take Askarov, I don't think the Wild would take Askarov either because they have Kaapo Kähkönen as their future starter. So just to note that if the Devils don't take Askarov at 11, I don't see Askarov getting picked until like between 16 and 18 to a team like Calgary maybe. But that's just a side note because I definitely see Askarov going 11, Lundell going 12, and that's just one of the many permutations that we could see. Lundell's a big boy, and Minnesota would definitely love to have him.
And finally, for your last honorable mention, who would that be?
Could you tell me the team again who's drafting there?
So right now we'd be at 13 if I'm mistaken, right?
Yeah, 13. You're right.
Yeah.
Who is it after Minnesota in the point percentage? After Minnesota, I'm trying to think. I think it might be. It could be Winnipeg, but I think that might be from a trade that they have that pick. I'm trying to figure out. It doesn't really matter too much. I was just trying to think about team fit. Going by rank, this is where things start to become a bit more of a toss-up. Like this guy could go before that guy. If it's defense, I definitely see Caden Gooley being a great pick, brother of Brendan Gooley. Caden Gooley would be a great pick on defense. 6'2", big boy playing in the WHL. And I say big boy at 6'2" because this is a small draft. Usually 6'2" isn't really that big, but 6'2" in this draft is decently big.
Especially this draft.
in this draft, yeah. Also Seth Jarvis and even Dawson Mercer. Those are all great names that begin to show up. There's a lot of centers deep. When you go deeper into the first round, it becomes a very center-heavy middle with the guys like Holloway and Lapierre, Connor Zary. But besides that, I think those are very interchangeable players. From the difference between 17 and 18 is very negligible.
Yeah. And honestly, Matt, I just wanted to thank you for coming on to my podcast today. As I already knew from the past, since I met you, you've been very knowledgeable when it comes to player statistics, prospects. Looking back from when they started. You don't just focus on what they've accomplished in the NHL, but like from what they've done in the juniors as well. So I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us today.
Hey, it was my absolute pleasure to do so. I love talking prospects, and I'm very excited to see who is going to go where. And just to also say, after Minnesota, I believe it is the Winnipeg Jets as of now, picking number 12, and then it goes Rangers 13. So I could definitely see the Jets going for someone like Caden Gooley, like I said, at defense. But then my next highest forward would probably be Jarvis or Mercer. Just want to make sure you knew that.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying.
No problem.
And I just wanted to say to the fans and the viewers, don't forget to check out his YouTube channel at Data782. Right, he's currently posting videos about the remastered, or in this case, rehydrated SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. So don't forget to check that out.
We're all over the place.
Yeah.
NHL, FIFA, SpongeBob. We can talk about draft picks, then we can go play SpongeBob. It's all over the place.
And and for new listeners, don't forget to like, subscribe, and continue watching my videos. And you could also head back and look at some older videos that I've uploaded. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Until the next one, goodbye.